Hi, I'm Edgar Hernandez.
And I'm Nuri Robles. And this is
Bar Talking Bar.
Your access to the heartbeat of New York City's bar and hospitality scene.
Hosted straight from the city that never sleeps, we sit down with bartenders, brands and ambassadors, hospitality pros, and cocktail lovers.
Whether it's the art of bartending, the hustle behind hospitality, or the wildest bar tales, expect raw conversations and industry secrets.
Listen to the people who pour your favorite cocktails and keep the nightlife alive.
If you love bars, spirits, and the stories that bring them to life, follow us, share, and subscribe to keep the conversations flowing.
The podcast that you didn't know you need.
New episodes weekly.
Welcome back to another week of your favorite podcast, Bar Talking Bar. I'm your host, Edgar Hernandez.
And I'm your other host, Nuri Robles.
Well, guess what? We're still in January, probably February, or it could probably be December. It doesn't matter because we are talking about the non-drinking situation. But first, we want to introduce our friend before we start talking.
Yeah, because you talk a lot.
Yeah, I say so many things. Yeah,
spicy.
So please, Nuri, help me welcome our good friend.
Of course.
Sam Bell. Welcome. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for having me.
To have you.
And thanks for feeding me earlier. That was very nice.
Yeah, we need something in the stomach because...
Love me some snacks.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming, Sam. It is really, really an honor for us to have you here. We were lucky enough to meet you a few years ago, actually, through the USBG. And I know we talk a lot about the USBG, the education programs, and then, what they offer, not only here in New York, but nationally. But yeah, without further ado, we would like to know more a little bit about you. Actually, I just wanted to ask you, am I pronouncing your last name correctly?
Bale. Yeah.
No. All right, perfect.
Yeah.
Well, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Did you guys want to start with a little drink?
Yes, please.
Yeah,
let's celebrate.
Let's pop a bottle.
Celebration.
I brought a non-alcoholic sparkling wine here. This is a brand called Naughty. They're from the UK. And it's a de-alcoholized sparkling wine, which means it was made just like regular wine. And then the alcohol was removed in a very gentle process. So you get a lot of the fermentation still. You get some of the sparkling wine, Prosecco notes.
Celebration.
Yeah, right.
Come on.
Okay. I did not already ruin the whole podcast equipment.
No.
All right, let me pour
That's
you
great.
a little drink in these tiny, tiny, tiny little glasses. This is like a shot glass full of sparkling wine now. I love it. ASMR.
Guessing what that bubbles.
Wow, got an ASMR podcast now.
I love the sound.
Oh, wow.
All right, okay. On that note, cheers.
Right. Cheers.
Prost, as we say in Germany.
Oh, yeah. Prost. Cheers, guys.
Oh,
Wow. This is
Very
amazing.
bubbly.
yeah.
Ooh, that was so fizzy.
That's good. Oh,
Yeah, it's very dry, right?
I don't know if you guys can see the bubbles here, but bubbles that are
beautiful.
still bursting and, still jumping of joy.
No, and actually, it's like usually when you drink something with non-alcohol, you think like, oh, it's going to be flat or it's going to be non-flavored. But definitely you find here the brut, the dryness.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, you have the dryness, you have a little bit of the funkiness of the fermentation. It's super cool.
All right.
Okay.
Well, welcome again. Who is Sam?
Oh, wow. That's a deep question. Who am I? So, hi, I'm Sam. I'm originally from Germany. I've been in New York for 12 years. So I always say, in case anyone can hear an accent, that's where it comes from. I am the founder and CEO of Bright Night Social, which is a platform for alcohol-free nightlife in New York City. The tagline for Bright Night Social is Nightlife Beyond Drinking Culture. And the idea is really just to create a space for people who want to go out, who want to party, want to socialize, but don't want that to be revolving around alcohol, to just have alternatives.
Good. And it's music included, DJs and everything.
We have, like, depending on a party, we usually have like 1 or 2 parties a month. And depending on the type of event, there will be music, there will be dancing. We have one coming up in a couple of weeks at the end of Dry January, our Dry January closing party, where we have 4 DJs. Yeah.
Wow.
4 DJs, dance floor. I'm responsible. I'm the chief vibe officer for that particular event. I'm teaming up with some others. I'm responsible for the lights at the disco balls. Yeah, that's my job there.
Wow.
And the non-alcoholic drinks, of course. So, yeah, there's usually, socializing, music, dancing, just fun, like the kind of stuff that you would usually do on like a Friday night, Saturday night, just without alcohol playing a role there.
Oh, and what, like you mentioned you make this every month. Is there a particular day of the month or do we?
It is very irregular.
Okay.
That is one of the things I have not accomplished yet in the 3 years since I've been running Bright Night Social, is to actually get into like a regular rhythm. I would love to have that, but it's usually once a month somewhere in New York City. There will be something happening. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's cool. So we can start also if whoever is not watching our channel in YouTube, but subscribe, please. Can you tell your social handle so they can, whoever is listening this podcast?
Yeah, it's at Bright Nights Social. Bright Nights Social, so 2 S in the middle, on every single platform, on Instagram, TikTok, Substack. The website is brightnightsocial.com. So yeah, super simple.
So they can find the events, and also if you want to, reach out to Sam, please do that, and we can have more parties.
Like and subscribe. Yeah.
Yes, please. So you are from Germany, and you moved to New York, but also how do you start working in this industry?
Yeah, so I am not a career hospitality professional. I bartended in college, but it's really funny because now I teach alcohol-free mixology classes, but I always say when I was bartending, the most complex cocktail I ever made was a gin and tonic. I worked at like the diviest dive bar in Manchester, England for a year. It was so poorly managed, sometimes we'd literally run out of liquor. And I would have to run across the street to a liquor store with like a 20-pound bill to like buy a handle of vodka. I've worked in hospitality. I've worked in the service industry. My full-time background is data engineering. I work in tech. But
Excuse you.
Yeah, it's pretty comfortable. Yeah. Gotta be honest. But so around 2022, we were all coming back from like 2 years of COVID and lockdown and just like sitting at home and not really socializing that much. I just realized I was constantly out at bars just to get out of the house, just to be around people, just to, socialize. And I love going to bars. I've always been a regular at like my local bar. I know the bartender's names. That's why I'm sitting here, because I love to yap with the bartenders. I love to be part of that, because to me, they are, bars and hospitality business in general are third spaces, right? They're like places where you make social connections. So I had the idea of starting an alcohol-free bar because I wanted to have something that felt like a bar where I could hang out and chat with a bartender, chat with the regulars, stop by without having to, go rock climbing or go running or read books or, go do crafting, whatever. I could literally just go there and hang out. And I didn't feel inclined to drink because, even though I could go to a bar, of course, and not drink alcohol, it did not make sense to me to not be drinking at a bar. So I had the idea of starting a non-alcoholic bar. Initially, the name of my business was called Third Place Bar, just to kind of like riff on that whole idea of a third place or third space. And I started doing pop-up events in New York City. I took over a coffee shop in Williamsburg after hours, brought in a bunch of non-alcoholic drinks. Had a bartender there working, and I also adjusted the lights. I took care of the lighting situation and just started hosting events, pop-up events. And, after a year of doing that, I realized I do not ever want to pay commercial rent in New York City, especially as a non-alcoholic business. It is really hard without the markups of alcohol to really stay afloat. And again, like 2022, we're just coming out of COVID and hospitality was not doing too hot. Like, places were shutting down. I was like, this is not the right time to start an alcohol-free bar. So I kind of just stuck with those pop-up events over the last 3 years at this point.
Wow.
Yeah. And I basically host like one event a month roughly. It's pretty much anything from just like low-key social mixers to parties with DJs to alcohol-free mixology classes. I've done alcohol-free wine tastings. I did one for Valentine's Day a couple of years ago, I think, which is really, really nice, like a couple's wine tasting thing with charcuterie and everything. It was really nice, yeah. And again, yeah, and that's the thing. I would more than happy. I'll come. I swear, I will come to your house. If you do the charcuterie, I'll bring the non-alcoholic wine, and I'll do a guided
more party goers.
Exactly, and I'll do the non-alcoholic wine tasting. Again, like the idea is really for everyone to be able to experience the same, fun, but also like culinary kind of experiences, like a mixology class, like a wine tasting, just without alcohol being part of that, either for people who are really alcohol free or for people who are just like, I don't know, I don't want to drink alcohol right now. I have to get up early tomorrow, or I'm currently on some medication, or I'm pregnant or trying to be pregnant, or whatever it is, right? There's so many reasons why people wouldn't be drinking. I just want to have them included and be able to provide a space for them.
Yeah, because I mean, at this point, I think everybody wants to be part of. Among, of course, you want to party, you want to go out there, and you don't necessarily have to drink. But also, of course, there are so many options. Then the options that you provide also is one of the education. A lot of us, including myself, I'm a bartender. I'm still a seasoned bartender, but there's so many things out there that we don't know that we can just like Google and research. But when you learn from other people, and
you practice.
Practice, exactly. And you taste, because the most important part here is tasting. And like, I guess people are skeptical about tasting things sometimes because they think, oh, it's just going to be like, no, like, I'm not going to like it. Well, when you taste it, you're going to find out that it's great. It's also a great cocktail or a spirit. Like, this sparkling wine, I was impressed. I was like, oh, okay. Like, it sounds tasty, but it's not, it's an option, and it's great to have options out there, especially, I mean, having a party. Of course, who doesn't want to be at a party, and who doesn't want to dance?
Exactly.
Time.
That is that's a thing. Like, people who are not drinking for whatever reason deserve to be able to go out and dance too without being pressured to drink, right? Other people being like, here, take a drink, or without feeling tempted to drink even when they really don't want to, or without being around people who get very drunk, which is also at some point, I call it witching hour. Like, at some point at like 10, 11 o'clock at night when people have been drinking for a few hours, they're not that much fun to be around anymore when you're sober. That's just how it is.
No, and also I feel like some people who doesn't drink, sometimes it's like healthy for you to, be out of your house because you need to, we're social human beings, so we need that socialization. And I feel like sometimes it happens to me. I mean, like I want to go out and have a coffee and people are like, oh, but it's too early. And then people cannot have coffee at night. And so I think, like you mentioned, it's very cool to have, friends and say like, okay, I'm not going to go to your house, but we have a place that we can, hang out and have a party.
Yeah.
And it started by inviting your friends. I think, like, if it's a group of 3 who want to go out and dance and drink non-alcoholic spirits or alternatives, I think it's a good plan, right? But when you have more people in the same room with the same goal, just drinking and dancing and, having a good time and, you want to go out to somewhere else, then that's your choice. But I think we don't really see that very often because we are more inclined to like, yes, we're going to go out and then have to drink. But yeah, of course, I'm so glad that there are options nowadays. And, like we were talking earlier, in, these new generations who they say, oh, they're not drinking, but they're still drinking. Yeah. Just not drinking what we drank when we were younger. Yeah. Like they're still drinking, they're still going out, they choose and pick whatever they want to their bodies because, throughout the pandemic, that's why I mentioned earlier, like there was so many healthy videos and some like workout videos that you were like, 20 or challenges, because I joined one of the challenges back then, but you had to do 100 push-ups and then you come to ask one of your friends, hey, you want to do 100 push-ups too, and so on and so on.
I remember that, the push-up challenge. Yeah.
Yeah. But in this case, if you want to go out and drink, why don't you challenge your friend to taste one of these things?
Yeah.
So how does it work? Like your events, how long does it take someone to book you, or like?
Yeah, it's like I said, I usually have an event every month, and I promote it like a few weeks in advance, and people just buy a ticket and show up. That's pretty much it. I started doing them mostly on like Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, like really like a weekend alternative for people who would otherwise just be staying home. And a lot of them usually sell out. Sometimes it's free RSVP and people just show up. Sometimes it's ticketed depending on, venue rental and the cost for like decoration, or if we have to pay DJs, if I have to pay DJ, like how am I going to pay for that if I'm not charging? So there's just like lots of different formats, but it's very, like the idea is to make it very democratic and very accessible. I always try to keep the ticket costs like pretty low. So the party we have coming up on the 31st of January, dance party again, 4 DJs, 6 to 10 p.m. The tickets are $20. So, and one drink is included, like the first drink is included. So we really try and make it accessible. We don't want to make, sober spaces kind of inaccessible and exclusive. Because again, like the whole point is inclusivity and sort of democratizing access to, alcohol-free spaces and making it easy for people to party. Yeah. Make it easy people to party. That's my platform. If I ever run for New York City mayor, please, that's my platform. Make it easy for people to party.
So you started this around 2022, right? You said.
Yeah.
How can you? What can you say about from that time to now that people are more accessible or more aware of non-alcoholic?
Yeah, that's such a great question. Even in the past 3 years since I started, just the options of non-alcoholic spirits and ready-to-drink cocktails has completely exploded. People are a lot more open to it. And I think the thing that's like really interesting, what has kind of changed over time is the majority of people who come to my events now, they're not sober. They're not like in recovery from alcohol use disorder. They're not, trying to be sober. They just like to go out every once in a while and not feel like they should be drinking. So I'd say about 75% of the people who come to my events to like an alcohol-free Friday night out, they drink every once in a while. Kind of like what you said with, Gen Z. They still drink. They just don't drink as much as we used to, right? And they maybe have like one drink there, or one drink, or 2 drinks. It's a financial thing for them, but it's also like they just don't like alcohol that much. And it's also like legal THC is a thing. Like, let's be real. Like, they're not the sober generation. They're just the like, we don't drink as much alcohol generation. Whereas previously, like our generation, at least for me and my friends, would have been like, no alcohol on Friday night out. Why would you go there?
Is this a party?
Yeah, is this a party or is this like a weird like an AA meeting or something, right? Yeah. So I think that attitude has really shifted over the past few years, where people are just like, we're not drinking is much more normal and much more, that's just part of my life. Like, sometimes you, sometimes you order the steak and sometimes you order the pasta, right? And like, it's been normal to order the pasta. It's kind of like that.
Yeah. And I'm so happy that you say that, because I feel like it's a repetitive thing, when we say, oh, but you're not drinking. Yeah, of course I'm not drinking because I choose not to drink today. And if I'm going out for a drink, it doesn't necessarily have to be, alcoholic. And my other question would be, in these parties, I mean, we are in the service industry, right? But it's like, your regular person who from 9 to 5 that goes to these events also, because I know a lot of people, tend to go to a yoga class, for example, right? And they want to still hang out and they want to drink or something healthier, and they go to those events. They just, have you noticed that? Like, this group of people from not from the industry, but from outside of the industry?
That's a great question. I don't think I don't actually know exactly like what the makeup is, like the demographic of the people who come to my events. Oh. Yeah. Sorry.
But that's a good thing, because, that I think this is the perfect way to see it, and, to bring them along and to ask them to be part of something that, we are having. And it's exploding within the last years. And it's changing. I mean, the industry is evolving, the industry is changing, and inclusivity is a big thing nowadays. So you always want to be part of something. And I mean, if they want to party, what's the best way, You
are also friends of the industry, so I think you're a good resource to have a feedback to the bartenders and say, I did this, and my event, it was like, I don't know, 50, 100 people, and they realized that this is something that is not a trend.
Yep.
It's something that we are choosing, or people are choosing not to drink alcohol. Wherever is your decision. I always say, like, your body, your choice.
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel like that, for me, is changing, because I remember I told Edgar that when I start seeing, like, call it mocktails, I was like, they are charging me so much for this, right? But then I was more like, just because I wasn't paying attention of the non-alcoholic, then I realized that it's very important for people who doesn't drink, whatever are the reasons, but also it's very important for the bartenders to, they're spending time doing research and everything. And we were talking about, like, flavors, right? That eventually there is a lot of people doing certain trends or certain techniques, and sometimes they just do it for the trend. But I feel like you have more insight of, like, how much people are now doing research, right? So with these insights, we know that you recently did the first non-alcoholic awards.
Yeah.
Right? Can you tell us about that, please?
Yeah, super exciting. So Bright Night Social teamed up with Boisson, which is a non-alcoholic beverage retailer, to present the first ever NYC's Best Bars for NA Awards. That really just came out of a conversation that I had with someone where I said, like all the bar awards, like 50 best bars and everything, they don't really consider whether non-alcoholic options, are kind of part of the experience. And I posted that on the internet, and people got very angry and said, well, just make your own awards. And I was like, bet. And I made my own awards. That's how I do it. And I just did it. A lot of things in my life happen just because someone is challenging me to do it. And I'm like, bet. That's how I ran 2 marathons. Yeah, wow. Exactly. So I basically really just, like, work with Boisson. They're financing it. Thank you. And I had an award committee. That was myself, Vibe Cabrera, who's a bartender. He's currently at Bar Chef.
Yes.
Yeah, you know.
I know
okay,
Vibe
awesome.
Cabrera.
Yeah. So people know Vibe, and he's, like, super into NA. He doesn't drink, and he's, like, very excited about experimenting there. And then Alex Highsmith, who's the former co-owner of Spirited Away, which is a non-alcoholic bottle shop in Soho, one of the first non-alcoholic, fully non-alcoholic, like, non-alcoholic liquor stores, basically, in the country. So people who have been really doing non-alc for a very, very, very long time. And we called for nominations. That was early December 2025. People submitted. We had 30 nominated bars. We also nominated internally. And then we evaluated the bars based on either our experience of having just gone there, like recently, if the menu was the same, or we went there and drank. And we drank a lot. We went to, I think, between 15 and 20 different bars that we actually tested out in person in December. Yeah, that was a lot.
That was another marathon that you were.
It was a marathon. That was a drink marathon. It was pretty exhausting, but it was so interesting to just do it in such a condensed amount of time because we saw so many interesting trends. And then first week of January, aka Dry January, for those who celebrate, we announced the winners of the Best Bars for NA Awards in New York City. Wow. And we had 7 winners, 7 bars, and 8 more shortlisted bars that didn't quite make the winners list, but they're also very good that we wanted to recommend. And then we also obviously listed, like, all the New York City sober bars. So I actually, I brought the little booklet here. Oh, nice. Which camera should I put this? Like this one?
Just right in the middle.
This
right
one?
Here.
Okay.
Look at this. This beautiful.
It's like a little booklet.
And a booklet with all the information
Yeah.
on the winners and the bars.
And the bars and the short list and everything. So we made this booklet. We had 5 different judging criteria. So, unlike 50 best bars is literally just like people nominate their favorite bars and that's it. We actually had like a slightly more objective 5-category system where we evaluated the visibility of the non-alc options on the menu and the clarity. Like, do I actually know that this is non-alc and, what I'm about to get? We had diversity of options, diversity of styles and formats. A lot of bars tend to just do like, here's 3 highballs. And I'm like, I don't want fizzy. What are we going to do? I don't want a citrus forward highball, you know.
Yeah.
The third category was just creativity, like how interesting are we getting in terms of techniques, in terms of ingredients. The fourth category was quality, like how good are the drinks actually? Do they taste good? Do they have, you know, do they taste like the ingredients they're supposed to taste like? Are they complex? Are they balanced? That's actually where most bars just fell flat on their face. We had a lot of very good looking NA menus that didn't deliver. And then the fifth category was just, you know, general bar vibes like ambiance, service, food, you know, all the other fun stuff. And we ended up with 7 winners, mostly across Manhattan and Brooklyn. Saw some very interesting trends there. We gave them trophies, we gave them certificates, we gave them the little booklets. So we did like a full-on thing. No ceremony yet, but, you know, you got to sort of small.
Wow. But,
yeah.
I mean, to be the first time that has ever been nominated for something like this, I think is a winner already.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you didn't receive a trophy, I mean, being part of something that is just, I mean, the beginning of celebrating. Yeah, exactly. I think that's great. I think sometimes the best part is when you don't win, you learn, you understand, and you're like, oh, I have to improve and have to be better.
Yeah.
I mean, because the non-alcoholic is, you know, everyone has in the menu at least three non-alcoholic versions, and then wow. That's amazing. Thank you for doing that for a lot of for us. I mean,
yes. Well, now we know what are those. But so what is next? Do you have any plans for like an event besides the event that you or like awards or like another challenge?
Yeah, so I don't know if I can make this public, but we are going to go a little bigger with the NA Awards. I've talked to LP O'Brien, Lauren, who's a winner of Drink Masters, a show on Netflix. She's a friend of mine. She provided a lot of input into the awards when I first thought about doing it. She was the one who said, like, do it. That sounds good. And she gave me input into the judging criteria. So she's been like, actually, she was sort of behind the scenes because I was like, if people get mad at me for doing it, you know, it's not you. Like, I don't want people to get mad at you. Everyone was very happy with it. It's been extremely well received. The bars were happy. Everyone else was, you know, we got really great feedback from the press. I've talked to people at BevNet, Spirits Business, Time Out Magazine. And Laura and I decided to take it nationwide and launch Best Bars for NA in multiple cities for the next season. Yeah. So again, it's going to be like in time for Dry January. We're going to announce the winners to give those bars like the attention they deserve.
So,
yeah.
I love it because, you know, I'm pro anything that it makes the hospitality industry better. And you know, like learning. I think in my case, I've been learning a lot the past month and about NAs. And actually, you brought this all-time bitters. I never thought about bitters.
Yeah,
well, like I
non-alcoholic cocktail bitters. Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
So All the Bitter, they're a super cool company. They're based in California. It's a very sweet couple, Ian and Carly. They used to be somms at the French Laundry. So like, you know, pretty nice restaurant. And there's sommeliers there and they decided to pivot. Yeah, you might have heard of that. And they decided to pivot into non-alc and they just wanted something that's like strong because a lot of the non-alc spirits, you might have tried Lyres, you know, Seedlip, you might have tried some others that are like very subtle and a little difficult to use. They wanted something that's like so strong, you know exactly what to do with it. So non-alcoholic cocktail bitters were kind of their path to that. The thing is with the regular cocktail bitters, you know, they're highly alcoholic. You know, they're like 35 to 45% ABV. So if you make a seltzer and bitters for a customer and you dash a little too heavy, you might actually accidentally push it over the limit of what's legally considered non-alcoholic.
0.5.
Most people don't care that much about it, right? It'll be very hard to get drunk off of that. But some people want to be completely alcohol-free. And that's why Ian and Carly made these glycerin-based bitters. So they have the same strength as regular cocktail bitters, but without the alcohol. They use 3 times as much plant matter, like the roots and the barks and the spices. than excuse me, regular cocktail bitters, and they also have to steep it much longer in order to like extract all the flavors.
Yeah, because there's no alcohol to extract.
Exactly, because glycerin is good at extracting, but alcohol is obviously a lot better. So these are really cool. Just in like, you know, you can just use them like regular bitters.
Yeah.
They have different flavors. They have like the coffee. They have aromatic, which are like your classic Angostura bitters. Orange.
I've used
shows.
the what is that? The aromatic bitters.
Yeah.
And I've used in New Orleans to make an alcoholic old fashioned.
Yeah, nice, exactly.
You only need a little bit of sugar.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to
Yeah.
add it, right?
Yeah.
Like a couple dashes of that, and your non-alcoholic alternative, if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Or you can also drink it with club soda. Like,
Yeah,
honestly,
seltzer.
yeah, exactly.
The coffee ones are so good in tonic water.
Tonic
It's like an
water.
espresso tonic, but you don't have to put a whole shot of espresso in there and then stay up all night. So these are really good. And what I really like about these, and this is not an ad or anything, I'm not getting paid to promote this, but I always describe non-alcoholic cocktail bitters kind of as the seasoning for non-alcoholic drinks because you know, you add some bitterness, you add some of the spices, you just add more complexity, and it just makes it an interesting drink. So these just, I feel like any non-alcoholic drink should have like non-alcoholic cocktail
Yeah,
bitters.
so sort of like that. It's just like the salt and pepper.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
bartenders.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think it's a great addition. I've used them in the past, and the profile on everyone, on each one is very different. I haven't tried the coffee, which I think is actually down my alley because I love coffee.
Yeah.
We can drink coffee all day.
There you go. This one's yours.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's for me.
super good.
Some tonic water, and I think this is like things that are very simple. Some things taste great.
Yeah.
But you just have to try it. Like I always encourage people to try. If you haven't tried anything, explore flavors. I think that's the easiest way for you to understand. And sometimes if we're talking about, you know, like we just opened up this bottle of sparkling wine. If they haven't tried it, you know, like if you see it, I think just buy it and taste it. You know, you pay, I don't know how much amount of dollars, but I think sometimes it's like an investment, I would say.
Yeah, I don't know about the minis, but like the regular bottles are probably somewhere between $25 and $29 retail. So that's an expensive sparkling wine already to begin with because they're de-alcoholized, which means, again, it's made just like regular wine. And then they're transported somewhere else to extract the alcohol using a very expensive machine. And then it's transported somewhere else to like actually, you know, bottle and sell it. So these actually have more work going into them, and that's what you pay for, which is what a lot of people don't see, is that a lot of non-alcoholic products actually require more labor and more just like matter and ingredients, and more time, and that's just what makes them more expensive.
So in your experience, you know, like hearing that, there will be people that probably says like, why am I going to pay so much money for something that doesn't have alcohol, and you're putting me to pay something like that? Like, how do you respond to that?
Yeah, that's such a great question. I think there's multiple answers. First of all, you know, beverages of any kind other than water are a luxury expense. So that's always my first answer is like, you don't have to buy this. You don't have to pay for this. You can drink water and your body is going to be perfectly happy with that, right? Maybe electrolytes. You need some electrolytes. So this is it's a premium. It's a luxury expense. Like, you don't need it. So in that framework, I think going out to a bar, for example, I almost feel like 50% of the bar experience is really just the environment. I pay for the experience. I pay for the service. I pay for the, you know, the little bar snacks. I pay for the comfortable chairs. I pay for the lighting, the music, right? I pay for just my presence in that room. I heard someone say, actually, which I really loved, you're not paying for the drink in front of you, but you're paying to rent a bar stool in the most expensive rent cost of living area in the world, right? Like, you're paying for that. I think that's the first thing, is like, you're paying for the experience. Everyone wants to have like a nice fancy drink sometimes, right? Everyone else is getting, I don't know, a 3 olive Manhattan or a whatever tiki drink that's set on fire and everything. Sometimes I want that too. I want like a nice little treat. And you know, sometimes I just go and ask bartenders if I can get a ginger beer and like just like dress like a mule, like garnish and pebbled ice and mint and whatever, right? And obviously I pay extra and I tip whatever. But like, I just want the presentation. I want interesting flavors. I just want nice things sometimes. So I think it's a treat. And then the other thing is also it's like the ritual, just the ritual of like popping open a bottle of sparkling wine, whether it's a celebration or, you know, a birthday, baby shower, whatever. A non-alcoholic beer, you crack it open on a hot day, you're having a barbecue. That ritual, you're paying for the ritual. You're not necessarily paying for the actual alcohol. And like you guys know this so well. The poor costs of a beverage, of like a cocktail, an alcoholic cocktail, that's also only a few dollars, right? It's not like the cocktail at whatever bar costs $20 because it's $20 worth of ingredients in there. The ingredients are maybe $3, $4, you know. Everything else is just markup. And for alcohol, people tolerate the markup because they think, oh, alcohol, it's like it does something, it's expensive. For non-alcoholic drinks, they're like, oh, it doesn't do anything, so why the markup? But in general, the markup is actually exactly the same.
It's the same.
It's the same because alcohol is not that expensive. That's the funny thing. Like, and we know that, and people outside of the industry, like, they don't understand. If you buy like a PBR, sorry, I'm on a ramp. I'm on a mission now, and you are welcome to cut that. But like, if you buy a PBR wholesale, like a can, is less than $1 wholesale. Any bar in New York City, it's at least $5, $6. There might be some, I don't know, 169 probably still does $3 PBRs, but like everywhere else, it's like $5, $6, right? No one does anything. There's no labor required. It's straight up just markup because people accept that, right? Whereas, for example, if it's, I don't know, I got charged $6 for like a soda gun Coke or Diet Coke the other day. And I was like, excuse me? Like,
And they're flat sometimes.
oh my God. Yeah, no, soda gun Diet Cokes are just not good. Like I want like a can or a bottle.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But thank you. No, it's just not good. And trust me, I don't drink alcohol, so I've had a lot of Diet Cokes. And that to me, it's actually funny that I totally, like, even I, as someone who works in the non-alc industry, I totally accept the $6, like the $5 markup for a beer, but I don't accept the $5 markup for a soda, which has like, you know, maybe it costs a little bit. I mean, that's just cents at that point. But the order of magnitude is kind of the same. So it's very interesting just psychologically how we accept higher prices for alcohol.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about what in your answer, and also I feel like people will say like, why Sam is telling this. You just mentioned it, like you don't drink alcohol. Do you want to talk about a little bit of your journey without alcohol?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
and why?
Yeah. So I stopped drinking. It's very interesting, actually. People usually think that I started this whole non-alc business and because I stopped drinking, but it was actually the other way around. I started the non-alc business just because I wanted to have an alternative to drinking. And then as part of the research into, you know, sobriety, non-alcoholic drinks, sober spaces, I was like, maybe just for like research purposes, I should stop drinking for a while just to see what it's like for my future customers. And after 2 months of drinking, I was like, oh, wow, this is actually really good. You know, I used to have a lot of like really bad mood swings when I was still drinking. I don't know if you've heard of hangxiety, like hangover anxiety, right? We talked about this earlier. I used to have the worst hangovers where I was horizontal. I couldn't keep water down. I was crazy dehydrated. I was shaking for like an entire day. And at some point I realized, wow, I am kind of just almost harming myself. Like I'm sabotaging myself with this. And the thing is, you know, I never considered myself to have alcohol use disorder, be an alcoholic or anything. I was very much take it or leave it. I could go out and party sober if I had to. I did a sober Halloween because I was training for the New York City Marathon and was like, this is fine. But if I was able to drink, I would drink. You know, I love drinking. And at some point, I just realized this isn't actually doing this. The joy and the fun I get out of drinking is here. And the joy and fun and satisfaction I get out of just being sober and not being hungover and not having to deal with like the negative consequences of drinking and like the money I spend and like the drunk arguments I get to, it's here. And I just made a logical decision, was like, yeah, I kind of just like living my life here. I like living my life, you know, making fewer stupid decisions, or if I do make stupid decisions, at least I'm fully 100% aware of what I'm doing. And that was 3 years ago, and I just kind of stuck with it. And now I just don't drink. I'm just like, I'm not into it. I mean, I love the idea of drinking. I still romanticize it a lot because my 20s were like, oh,
We all did in our 20s.
it was wild and wonderful. But also, I said that recently, actually. It's very interesting. Like, I romanticized my 20s because I was young and drunk. But I don't want to be in my 40s and drunk. Like, I don't want to be old and drunk. That is not fun. Like, I think it's the combination of being young and drunk that's fun. I don't want to be like, imagine I'm like a 45-year-old lady just being drunk at the bar.
Or on the street.
In the street, yeah. Like falling over. It's like, if I see like young girls, if I see like, 25-year-olds falling over in the street, it's kind of funny, and I'm like, bless you. I hope you get home safe. If I see like older people, like, I don't want to be judgy, but I'm just like, haven't you done this enough now? Or it doesn't get more interesting. Right?
And I guess, like once we start getting old, obviously your body is telling you, hey, you're not 20s anymore.
Yeah.
But and I guess also since you're doing this research and having more information, can you tell someone that is struggling with like an addiction, or like they want to look for help, some places that they can go?
Yeah, I am not an addiction counselor, honestly. And again, for me personally, I kind of just stopped drinking. I've never done a program. I've never done AA. So, I am not an expert. I think for people who are like, well, the first thing I think for people who are thinking about whether they should stop drinking, I would say if you're thinking about it, you already know the answer, right? If you're wondering whether you should drink less or stop drinking, you know that you probably should. The second thing I always say to people, if you're struggling to moderate with just drinking less or not drinking as frequently, and you kind of just keep falling back into your old patterns, it might be easier to just try and stop completely, because then you don't have to do the mental gymnastics every single time to be like, oh, I'm going to drink today, but only one drink, and then I'm going to have another drink tomorrow, and then it's someone's birthday party the day after, and oh, I'm going out for a nice dinner, so I'm going to have a glass of wine there. So the next day I can't drink, right? You're constantly just keeping track. So I think that's another thing. And then in terms of like resources for hospitality people, like people in the hospitality industry, Ben's Friends. It's a wonderful group. They have meetings. They have online meetings, I think once a week or multiple times a week. And then they also have in-person meetings in New York City. I think they're on Mondays in Chelsea and also other major cities. So I highly recommend, especially for hospitality folks, to look into Ben's Friends. There's a lot of other like online groups. AA seems to work for some people. Some people love it. Some people hate it. It is definitely a way to start. And then the other thing is also, you have to just maybe change your environment and maybe stop hanging out with the people who, and like at the places and the people that encourage you to drink, if that is a problem, and like make a cut there. So
yeah. I feel like we all go through a phase where we know there are certain days or times where you drink a little more. There's certain days where you don't drink. There are days where you feel like working out the entire month, So basically, it's just, it comes and goes. But it would like within the industry, I think what we're talking about here is that it's important to have different options, and also to be part of something, because you want to be part of, that event, and you want to go and hang out, and you probably just find out about through a friend, hey, there's going to be an event over there. Would you guys want to come and hang out? And it doesn't necessarily have to be a drinking. Yeah. I mean, if they want to drink, of course, like you said, 70% or 80% of the people who go is still like drink regularly, or, like we bartenders, like we drink, but it's also good for us to taste different things. I mean, in my personal opinion, if I was going to go to the party, or if I go to the party, or when I go to the party, go and have the drinks, and, I'm sure I'm going to have a great time. And I'm going to bring my dad's shoes, because you guys better be ready to be in the dance floor.
Speaking of drinks, did you guys want to try another little bevy?
Yeah,
okay.
please.
So I have some options here for you. I have, this is actually super fun. This is a drink that was canned by Thunderbolt, which is a cocktail bar in LA. And they just made NA drinks. I think this is like it's a strawberry lemon. I think it's a fat washed. And he just canned it, which is super cool. This is for Better for Worse. It's a lovely brand, women-owned brand from the Pacific Northwest. This is a Saskatoon, which is somewhere between a red wine and a Negroni. They have bottled versions, and they also have the little one. So let me pour you ladies first, and then Edgar.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, perfect. Even easier. Here you go.
And I help you with
I'll
this.
just pour myself. All right. On that note, cheers.
Okay.
Cheers again.
Once again, thank you.
We're drinking a lot in this episode.
I love it. Oh, it's really good. I love Negronis.
Ooh, it's so bitter.
I love Negronis and you know, like I say, coffee. Like you saw me drinking black coffee when I arrived. So I was like, yeah, anything that has bitterness to me, it's good.
I was thinking, honestly, I'm, that's funny because I already told this story, but when I wasn't drinking and my first Negroni I have it, I was like, what? It's horrible. How people drink this? But, you know, later I've been like liking more the bitter drinks.
It is very bitter and it lingers.
Yeah.
But I think, like you said, sometimes we go out and we have that sensation of like, you know, I want to feel like I'm drinking because whatever your journey is. Drinking this also, I think when it's something this bitter, it helps you like not chug it and feel like, oh my God, I finished it so fast.
That's actually really interesting. It's funny you pointed out. So we call that stopping power, especially for non-alcoholic drinks, because oftentimes non-alcoholic drinks, you know, alcohol has automatic stopping power. You can't really chug an old-fashioned, right? I mean, like, I could probably chug an old-fashioned if I wanted to. I've already done it. But technically, the alcohol is so strong, it makes you sip it, right? Small sips. Or like a martini, right? You take like small sips. And you don't have that with non-alcoholic drinks. You don't have that automatic like built-in stopping power. So you need to go for some like strong flavor that makes you stop like chugging and makes you sip it, and then also texture. So usually what you try and do is like either you make it spicy, you make it bitter, you make it sour, and then for texture you have like a lot of like tannins, for example. So this one has like a little bit of tannins, right? You make it tannic or creamy, carbonated. You give it the carbonated texture. That's why we get like 99% of all non-alcoholic cocktails, and the menus in this world are carbonated or highballs of sorts. And that just gives it like that stopping power, and it makes you sip it a little bit more. Yeah.
I just want to see this. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Well, thank you so much for sharing this.
Yeah.
And also it's low calorie for like we were talking about like sugar content.
That's one of the things like people always talk about how mocktails are just pure sugar. Well, first of all, your alcoholic pina colada or your jungle bird or your whatever also just has a ton of sugar and syrups and juices in there, right? Plus it has the alcohol, so you get extra calories from the alcohol. And you know, you have the sugar but not the alcohol, and alcohol is also bad for you. So from a health perspective, you know, even if your mocktail is kind of sugary, it's still healthier than having the alcohol. And it really also depends on, you know, what you serve as like a mocktail or a non-alcoholic cocktail. So especially if you make it with non-alcoholic spirits, or if you do something like this one really only has sugar in it to balance out the bitterness, right? You actually end up with like a fairly low sugar drink because most of the non-alcoholic spirits are pretty low sugar or no sugar. And again, that replaces the alcohol. So you get like 2 ounces of your drink that are pretty much like sugar and calorie free, right? So again, there's a lot of like preconceived notions about mocktails, or there's just like, it's just juices, it's just syrups, it's just pure sugar. But if you dive a little bit deeper into the world of non-alcoholic drinks and non-alcoholic brands, they're aware of that problem, and they try and not make it just pure sugar. No, so this one is, I don't actually know how much this one is. This one is 8 grams of sugar, right? Like a Coke, I think I just saw it as like 35 grams of sugar.
Yeah.
So you know,
like 10 spoons of sugar.
And again, if you have like, you know, an old fashioned, you're adding sugar to that. If you have, again, a pina colada, it's pineapple juice and, you know, sweetened coconut cream. So yeah, you can, and usually what I do at my events, like I try and only serve, especially if I have ready to drinks, I try and only serve drinks that have around 10 grams of sugar per serving, which is, you know, I think perfectly acceptable. And like sugar is also nice. Like unless you drink straight up liquor, you will always have sugar in your cocktail.
Yeah,
that is actually very true. Unless you have a cocktail unless you have literally just a martini. And even like a vermouth has a little bit of
Yeah,
sugar, right? So like if it's a cocktail, there will be some sugar in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like, you know, if we come back with the majority of people who's drinking and is watching this episode or listening to in your car or in your gym or whatever you're listening, sometimes we'll be like, well, I'm drinking, I don't have an idea of like quitting or anything. But also I feel like my take on this episode especially is because I feel like having you trying these, you know, parties or like being more conscious, it's also helpful to know this because maybe you're the person who doesn't want, but also you can help someone else.
That's super important. I think especially in the hospitality industry, I think it's important to just know because it is already like non-alc is already a big part of, you know, bar and beverage culture, and it's probably only becoming bigger. One thing that we haven't talked about yet is GLP-1s, like Ozempic, right? That curbs people's cravings for alcohol. So there's actually one of the reasons why we have declining alcohol consumption is because 10% of the population are on Ozempic or other GLP-1s, so they just don't want alcohol that much anymore. So we, you know, in the hospitality industry, we just kind of have to adapt to that.
Yeah.
So it's not going away. And I think it's really important, especially, again, for bartenders, people who work in the industry, even if it's not for them, you know, I don't know, like I know a ton about mezcal. I didn't really like drinking mezcal myself, but like I learned about it, right? It's kind of like that where it's part of your job to be knowledgeable about different things because your job is to like sell it to your customers or advise your customers and give them recommendations. And I think that's kind of the thing that I also find really, really exciting because I don't think there's been like anything since like maybe tequila and mezcal was like became much, much, much more popular and people became super knowledgeable about it. Non-alc might be like the next big thing where everyone is like, oh my God, we have something new to learn. This is actually really cool.
Yeah, and I mean, the people who started making non-alcoholic and it became a trend back in the day, like maybe like a few years ago. And then now it's like we all know, like at least anybody, if you're bartending, now you at least know something about it. Like one product at least. And you know, like we always say as a bartender, just grab the bottle, learn the bottle. And, I mean, having these options, I think is great. I have a lot of bartender friends who are sober. And I think we don't really say that much out loud, you know, because we think, oh, all bartenders drink, all bartenders go out. Yes, we all go out. But we don't all always drink. I mean, you know, close friends or friends from a distance. But, yeah, we always know somebody. And I think, like, these parties and these events just bring more people together because, like I mentioned earlier, you know, people who's not in the industry but wants to be part of it, like, yes, of course, everyone is welcome. You know, it's open to everybody. And I mean, if this is a 100-people party, it could be probably 200-people party in the future. And it's just going to get bigger.
Yeah. I do industry happy hours too. So usually once a quarter, like every few months, I also have non-alc industry happy hours, which is both people who are in the non-alc industry and people in the hospitality industry. And that's also a great opportunity for people who work in hospitality to just kind of like talk to people who run non-alc brands, to try different non-alc spirits, different non-alc beverages, and kind of just like connect. I feel like right now there's almost like I don't want to say rivalry, but there's a little bit of like the non-alc people are coming for our, you know, bar culture and our cocktails and our liquor. And exactly. And it's like, no, we're trying to help you sell more stuff, right? But that is also, it's very interesting because a lot of non-alc brands are founded by people who don't have a hospitality or beverage background. So there's a lot of people who are like, I know someone who used to work in finance and then decided to start a non-alc bar. Non-alc brand, like a spirit brand. So there's a lot of people who are coming in from like with no context on how the industry works. And I know there's some friction because of that, because it's, you know, it's not just bartenders who are like, oh, I'm going to start my own brand and I know how things work and I can talk to people, which is why a lot of people, especially I think the brand reps for some of the non-alc brands here in New York City who used to work in hospitality, they're absolutely crushing it, right? Like I'm not, I don't, we talked about one person who's coming on the podcast who I'm like, who's just like, who knows how to speak the language. And it's much less like, oh, what's this weird stuff that you're trying to sell me, right? And it's more like, hey, I'm one of you, and this is a really cool thing that you can integrate in your bar program.
Yeah, and I think in terms of like, making money out of this industry, we have also, I think the big example, it came from bartenders when first gin, they decided to, we want this type of gin, we want this type of bottle, we want this, and that. And, I feel like this is something that is changing the game as well. So people who work in the industry can be part as well of like, approaching certain brands and say, you know what, I like your product, but I don't like the bottle because we cannot put it here or whatever. And I feel like also, like I said, you are now probably one of the best persons to be asked, like, hey, what do you see out there, right? And it's a working community, and I feel like sometimes we're afraid of changes, but sometimes changes are good.
Yeah, that's such a great insight. I've been on so many podcasts, and I have talked to so many people about this topic, but this is actually a thought that I hadn't even thought of, which is, bartenders actually and the hospitality industry providing feedback and telling the non-alc brands what they need and what they want, right?
Yeah.
That's actually really interesting because, again, right now it's coming from the brands trying to push their stuff. And, maybe they even just make a deal with whoever's the buyer at like the bar, and the bartender's like, I don't know what this stuff is. I've had so many conversations with bartenders like, yeah, I think this is like a gin alternative, but it's not very good, right? I'm like, no, like your bartenders, your bar staff need to be bought into what you're serving. Like that's actually crazy to me that someone, makes a decision to stock like a certain brand or a certain non-alc spirit, and the bartenders hate it. Like, that's not going to work. You need the people to stand behind it, and you need people to be excited about it.
I feel like that, I think what I can add to that, sometimes when you try the spirit, like the non-alcoholic, for example, use the gin example. If you do only try that by itself,
not good.
Of course,
no.
You have to try it, and then your imagination has to start working. Can I put some herbs? Can I infuse it with strawberries? Can I add some soda? What can I do with all this stuff? Rather than just being like, oh, I don't know anything. And then again, going back to like grab the bottle, learn what is it, what's it all about, and then just because you have the head bartender or the beverage director giving you a bottle or putting a bottle there, doesn't mean that you don't know. Yeah. Sometimes some places, they give you the whole spiel and the whole all of the information that you need. But a lot of the times we don't really take the time to go through it. Yeah. It's just like, I'm giving you this piece of paper, and then I just put it on the side, and I just continue with my day. Rather than my information, you don't have to memorize it, but at least know what you're selling because, hey, I need to make something for somebody who's not drinking. I want to make it something fun, And sometimes simple, like a gimlet, like basil, lime, a little bit of sugar, and then an alcoholic alternative. So there's so many things you can come up with. But I think that's a great idea.
And like one of the main things, whatever, especially like if you're working in a restaurant, not just in a cocktail bar, you see chefs. They create a dish. They just don't go and do it. They redo it and redo it, and doing R&D helps. So, so basically here, for example, we have these options that I will probably be like, but at least now I know that I'm drinking something. And thank you so much for bringing those. And
thank you so much for being part of this journey, for giving us the information. Yay. Also for the audience, thank you guys for being part of this podcast another day. If you're listening, if you're running and listening because you're training for the marathon this next year,
That's me.
So, thank you. If you guys want to watch this episode on YouTube for subtitles in Spanish, English, we talk in English, right? In any other languages?
German.
Actually. French. We're going to have
whatever. Yeah. But also...
Did you say whatever?
Yeah, whatever language do you want to listen. I'm sorry. I didn't want to be rude with Edgar. Sorry, Edgar.
I was kidding.
So besides all this information, Sam, what do you like about New York City?
Ooh, what I like about New York City. Wow, that was a curveball. I think what I like about New York City is that most people really mind their own business, and you can be as weird as you want to be, and no one's going to care. And that is, I've lived in multiple cities, I've lived in different countries, and I have not experienced that yet to that extent where I can go out wearing the craziest outfit or singing to myself in the street and no one cares. And it's extremely liberating to be able to just be yourself and be your weird self. That's what I love.
That's good. That's why I love New York.
Yeah. Do you have a place that you like or favorite?
We've talked about it. So I have a little crush on Oddball. It's a bar on Avenue B. They just reopened as Oddball. It used to be High Note. And they were one of the winners of the best bars for NA Awards.
Shout out to those guys.
Yeah, shout out to Logan, Alan, and Celia and the whole crew. They're amazing. And their cocktail program is fantastic. Their non-alcoholic cocktail program is stellar. Really, they have 4 absolutely very unique, incredible non-alcoholic cocktail options. Their food is so good and so tasty. They have a congee on, like, what kind of bar food is that? A congee. Phenomenal. It's just, and it's so cozy. I call it a cozy spaceship. The vibes are so good. It's a great place. So to me right now, Oddball is probably like, it feels like a little womb to get into and just be cozy.
Mm-hmm. Well, there is another very New York question.
Ooh, okay.
What is your bagel to go?
You know, I just had a breakfast or dinner bagel party that I hosted 2 days ago on Thursday for National Bagel Day with the bagel ambassador, Sam Silverman, and we had non-alcoholic. We popped a few bottles of non-alcoholic sparkling wine. We made our own bagels and baked them and ate them. Yeah, it was a whole thing. So I'm like deep into bagel world this week. My bagel order. Okay, sesame bagel. I don't do everything. Sesame bagel, not toasted. Scallion cream cheese, lox, capers, tomato. If I feel crazy.
Wow, that's mouth-watering.
What about you, Edgar?
My bagel?
Uh-huh.
I just go easy. I just go cream cheese and... but my bagel is just plain bagel.
Plain bagel?
Yeah, cream cheese. And
it's giving serial killers. Yeah. Sorry, Edgar. Plain bagel and plain cream cheese?
Well, that's for like coffee.
Okay.
But sometimes I like to have everything bagel or onion bagel with ham, egg, and cheese.
Oh, nice. Oh,
yeah.
I like it.
So I'll do that. Yeah. Like, I used to. I haven't done it in a very long time. But that's what I used to eat most of the mornings when I used to wake up in the morning.
Should we go to the bodega and go get bagels? What's your bagel?
What's your bagel?
Mine, I like sesame bagel. It has to be warm. Cream cheese, plain cream cheese, tomatoes, and a scrambled egg.
Nice. Ooh. Okay.
With jalapeno.
Nice. Ooh.
Yes. Like sounds delicious.
I'm Mexican, sorry. But I love bagels, actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bagels are life.
Well, but thank you so much. Muchas gracias.
Yeah, thank you.
Please, if you are watching this program, please subscribe. Please follow Sam, and you will see her handles here. And she will have, whatever she's doing, she's posting it. So please subscribe. Don't forget to tip your bartenders. And see you next time.
Tip your tenders.
Yeah, tip your bartender. For more episodes like this, go to our website,
NYC.com. And, what I said again, thank you so much, Sam, for being here.
Thanks so
thank
much
you
for
for all
having
this
me.
education.
Yeah.
These new bottles. Thank you, Edgar, for another episode. And we'll see you around.
Sayonara, amigos.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.